Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know, long time no see. I'm so sorry for being away for so long. I had surgery a couple months ago and it took me some time to recover, but I am back. So to those of you who are still here, thank you. Thank you for being patient with me, and I hope you all enjoy the video today. But before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications so that every time I post, you get notified. With that being said, let's jump right in. This is the story of the Stayner brothers. Stephen and Cary Stayner were opposites in the worst way possible. They both grew up close to Yosemite National Park, and this would become a location that would mark their lives in very different ways. The boys had a typical brotherly relationship, and with Cary being the oldest, he often looked out for his younger brother Stephen. But things changed as the boys grew older. On December 4th, 1972, 7-year-old Stephen was walking home from school along Highway 140 when a man named Kenneth Parnell and his accomplice Irvin Murphy saw young Stephen and lured him into the vehicle. Kenneth Parnell worked at Yosemite Lodge and Irvin Murphy was his co-worker. When they pulled over to the side of the road, Kenneth got out and went to the payphone. He came back and told young Stephen that he had just spoken to his parents and that his parents said they no longer wanted him. After this, they abducted him. When Stephen didn't make it home from school, his parents immediately reported him missing. When Cary, Stephen's older brother, learned that Stephen was missing, he was incredibly upset. And unfortunately, Stephen's nightmare went on for years. Kenneth traveled all around California with Stephen, abusing him and assaulting him throughout this entire time. But Stephen still looked up to Kenneth as a father figure. He didn't have much of a choice. Stephen was told that his new name was Dennis Parnell, and he was eventually enrolled in school where he did very well, even getting his first girlfriend. But 300 miles away, Stephen's brother Cary was struggling. Not only was he struggling to fit in at school, but he was also struggling emotionally, even compulsively pulling out his hair and doing inappropriate things like exposing himself to his sister's friend. By the time Stephen was 14, he had been abused and manipulated by Kenneth Parnell for 7 years. And at some point, Kenneth realized that with Stephen growing up, he was going to be harder to control. So in 1980, Kenneth decided that he wanted another child to become his next victim, and he forced Stephen to do his dirty work for him. So Stephen finds a 5-year-old boy named Timothy White walking home from school just like he was all of those years earlier, and he kidnaps him. For 2 weeks, Stephen watched the little boy suffer the separation from his family, and this sparked something within him. He told his high school girlfriend that he wasn't going to let Timothy endure what he's had to for all of these years. So on March 1st, 1980, Stephen waited until Kenneth was at work and fled with the 5-year-old boy. They hitchhiked to Ukiah, California, but the little boy couldn't remember where he lived, so Stephen took him to a police station instead. Stephen told police everything, including that his name wasn't Dennis Parnell. He told police, "I know my first name is Stephen," and that became the most iconic moment in Stephen's remarkable story. Soon after, Stephen became a national hero. He was on Good Morning America, sharing his story, and was even brave enough to face Kenneth Parnell in court. Kenneth only served 5 years for the hell he put Stephen through, which is less time than he held him captive for. But that didn't stop him from living his life. Stephen grew up, he married, and he had 2 kids. But it was a short life he lived because at the age of 24, Stephen was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident. But what's also strange to me is that the young Timothy White also passed away at the age of 35 from pulmonary embolism. But that's besides the point. Back to the story. So all of this time that his brother had been home, Cary was left behind the curtain. And to get away from all of the chaos, he started taking refuge in Yosemite Park, the same place where Stephen's abductor worked. He ended up getting a job there as a handyman at the Cedar Lodge in 1997. 2 years into his career, he came across Carol Sund, her teenage daughter Julie, and Julie's friend Silvina Peloso. They came for an overnight stay in February of 1999. That night, Cary talked his way into their room under the guise of fixing a leak, and then he assaulted both girls before murdering all 3 of them. After several weeks, the bodies of all 3 of the women were discovered. 5 months passed with radio silence until July 21st, when Cary saw Joey Armstrong, a 26-year-old naturalist at Yosemite who taught children about nature in the park. Joey's friends reported her missing after she never made it home, and upon investigating, police found signs of a struggle at her cabin. About a half a mile away from her cabin, they found her body, but her head, which had been removed, was found several feet away in the water. Police immediately started searching for Cary because his vehicle was seen near her place before she was killed. By this time, Cary was already interviewed about the other 3 murders, but he didn't raise any red flags. FBI agents finally caught up to him at a nudist colony where he had fled after murdering Joey Armstrong. He was brought in for questioning, and he confessed to killing Joey, describing her murder as if he were reading a soup label. Soon after this, he also confessed to murdering Carol and Julie Sund and Silvina Peloso. When Cary was asked if he wanted to talk, he responded by saying, "I want to get a hold of some producers in Los Angeles. I want a movie of the week made about my story." There was a movie made about his little brother Steven. Cary wanted the same treatment. Except the script is much different in this case. Steven was a hero who helped save a child's life, and Cary was a murderer who wanted nothing more than to cause suffering. Was it because he wanted the spotlight? Or if both Steven and Cary would have had completely normal and happy childhoods, who's to say that Cary would have still grown up to be a serial killer? Cary Stayner is now 57 years old. He was sentenced to death in 2002 and still remains on death row for his crimes. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much again for sticking around and being patient with me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.